first story visitor in the shadows. It was a chill November night when I locked the front door of my small home in Cedar Hollow, Pennsylvania. The kind of cold that creeps through the walls and settles deep, deep into your bones had buried my husband 6 months ago. But the grief still hovered over me like a storm cloud. His name was Thomas, and he was my world. Losing him felt like losing a part of myself that I could never get back. Tonight, though, something felt different. The air inside my home was heavier, almost stifling. I could swear I heard soft whispers in the darkness, but I dismissed it as my imagination. I was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, when the first knock came. It wasn't loud or urgent. Just 3 steady raps against the front door. I frowned, glancing at the clock on the wall. It was nearly midnight. Who would be visiting at this hour? Hello? Who is it? I called out, my voice wavering slightly. No response. The knocks came again, this time louder, hesitantly, got up, and approached the door. The peephole revealed nothing but the pitch-black night. Against my better judgment, I unlocked the door and opened it a crack. No one was there. Just the quiet of the night and the rustling of dead leaves in the wind. Shut the door quickly, my heart pounding. But as I turned to head back to the living room, froze. He was. Thomas, standing in the hallway as if he had never left. His face was pale and expressionless. His eyes hollow and black as the void. I missed you, Marianne. He whispered, voice echoing like it was coming from a faraway place. My legs felt like they were made of lead as I stared at him, my mind unable to process what I was seeing. Thomas, you can't be here. You're dead. Managed to say. He took a step toward me, and I could feel the temperature in the room plummet. I never left, Marianne. You promised you'd never let me go. His words sent shivers down my spine. I stumbled backward, my hands scrambling to find the light switch. I flipped it on. He was gone. The hallway was empty, but the air still felt thick with his presence. The next few nights were a blur of unease and fear. Doors would creak open on their own. Whispers would echo through the house. Shadows seemed to move on their own. I knew I wasn't alone anymore. One evening, as I stood in the kitchen washing dishes, I felt a presence behind me. Turning slowly, I saw Thomas standing in the doorway. He looked same as he had the first time I saw him after his death. Silent, pale, and unwavering. But this time, he was closer, much closer. Why are you doing this to me? I whispered, tears streaming down my face. Why can't you let me go? His darkened further. If that was even possible. You are mine, Marianne, always were. Even death can't change that. That night I dreamt of Thomas dragging me into the ground with him. His cold hands clawed at my skin, his whispers filling my ears like poison. When woke up, there were bruises on my arms in the shape of his fingers. I couldn't run anymore. He was everywhere. In my home, in my dreams, in my mind. No matter how hard I tried to escape, he always found me. One final night. Sat in the dark living room, waiting for the inevitable. He's appeared again. This time, his form was shifting, decaying. Come with me, Marianne. We can be together forever. Screamed. As his hand pulled me into the shadows, the darkness engulfing me completely. The last thing I heard was his voice, soft and final. Now we are one. Next day, the neighbors found my house empty. No sign of no struggle, no trace of where I had gone. Just the faint scent of earth lingering in the air, and a single word etched into dusty mirror: forever. Second Stordos of Elder Hollow. It was a cold October evening when I found myself driving down a desolate stretch of road near Elder Hollow, a tiny town in Vermont that seemed to exist only on the edges of memory. The moon hung low in the sky, casting pale glow on the twisting trees that lined the road. I had come to Elder Hollow to escape the chaos of my life. A recent divorce and a string of bad luck had left me hollow inside. The advertisement I had found online offered a quaint cabin for rent at an unbelievable price. Too good to be true was my first thought when I booked it, but I needed an escape from everything. When I finally reached the cabin, it was even more isolated than I had expected. Nestled deep in the woods, the place looked like it hadn't seen a visitor in decades. The windows were fogged over, and the wooden steps creaked beneath my feet, but felt something else as stood there staring at the door, a weight in the air that made my skin prickle. Inside, the cabin was surprisingly clean, though it carried an unmistakable sense of emptiness. There was a fireplace, a single armchair consists, and a table with dusty lamp. The only personal touch was a framed photograph on the mantel. It showed a smiling family, a man, a woman, a young boy. The photo was old, its edges faded, and the faces seemed to watch me as I set down my bags. That night, as tried to sleep, I heard something unsettling. It started as a low whispering sound, so soft that I thought it was the wind. But the whispers grew louder, closer, until it sounded as if they were right outside my window. Froze. My heart in my chest. I wanted to look outside, but something in my gut told me not to. The next morning, Midas noticed footprints in the dirt around the cabin. They weren't human. They were too large, and the shape was all wrong, with long, clawed toes. I told myself it was just an animal and went about my day. But the unease stayed with me. Each night brought more whispers, and they began to form words. Leave this place. They won't let you go. The voices were low and raspy. They seemed to come from all around me. I tried calling for help, but my phone had no signal. On the third night, the whispers turned to screams. They were so loud that I felt as if my head would split open. I ran to the door to escape, but the knob wouldn't turn. I was trapped, and then I saw them. Shadows began to crawl from the walls, their forms twisting and stretching into something inhuman. They had no faces, only voids where their eyes should be, and their long fingers reached for me. I don't remember how I escaped the cabin. I woke up in my car, parked on the side of the road, but the shadows weren't gone. They follow me. Still, every night, I hear their whispers. They want me back in Elder Hollow. No one will believe me, sis, but if you ever find yourself on the road to that town, turn around and never look back. Third story whispers of Deadwood. It was a stormy night when I drove into Deadwood, a town so small it was almost forgotten. The sky hung low, its clouds as dark as the secrets the town kept. Had come here for answers to the disappearance of my sister 2 years ago. But the town seemed too quiet, as if it was waiting for something unseen. I pulled up to the only motel in Deadwood. Its neon sign flickered weakly. The old man at the counter greeted me without a word. His eyes were sunken, like he had seen too much. "You won't find her here," he whispered, voice gravely. "Who?" I asked, not sure if I wanted to hear the answer. He looked away and shook his head. "The town never lets go of its secrets," he muttered. That night, I lay awake, listening to the howl of the wind outside. But as I tried to sleep, I heard something else. A soft, faint, almost inaudible. It came from the walls, then from the air, and it said my name. I rushed out of the motel room, the storm now howling louder. My footsteps echoed in the empty streets. I walked through Deadwood, the whispers growing louder with every step. They were calling me, telling me to go to the graveyard. The graveyard was old, with tombstones that looked as though had been weathered by centuries. I walked through the gates, the whispers now surrounding me. I reached the grave that the whispers led me to. It was my sister's. I fell to my knees, feeling of dread washing over me. The whispers stopped, and in the silence, I heard a new sound. A low groan. I turned and saw them. The dead rising. They were shrouded in darkness, their eyes glowing with a hunger. I could feel in my bones. And they weren't just coming for me. They were coming for everyone. I ran as fast as I could, the town now alive, with the screams of those who had never escaped. Deadwood had claimed another victim, and I would never leave. The last thing I heard was the whispers of the dead. They were calling me home.